What if I told you the most powerful response to heartbreak isn't chasing her, fixing things, or proving your worth? It's disappearing. Completely. No texts, no calls, no pleading, just silence, just absence, nothingness. Not because you're playing a game, but because you're done handing your power over to someone who mishandled it. Ask yourself this: why do you think she stopped valuing you? It wasn't just about what you did or didn't do. It was because somewhere along the way, she felt she had you completely. She knew you'd answer every time, show up every time, stay, no matter what. There was no mystery, no edge, no distance. So when she pulled away, when she broke your heart, she didn't fear losing you, because she thought you wouldn't go anywhere. That ends now. This is your moment of withdrawal, not in bitterness, not in weakness, in power. Because when a man walks away in silence, without a word, without a warning, it sends a signal the female mind cannot ignore. He doesn't need me. And that, to a woman who once had your attention like oxygen, is a deafening silence. But this isn't about making her regret. That's the side effect. The mission is you. Stoicism teaches one thing above all: control what you can, accept what you can't, and never let the external disturb your inner fortress. Right now, your heart feels shattered, but that's only because you're still trying to find meaning in her actions. You're waiting for her to come back, to explain, to apologize. Let it go. She won't. And even if she did, would it change anything? Withdraw not to disappear, but to transform. Your silence is not a void. It's the cocoon before the rebirth. This heartbreak, it's your initiation. You're not dying. You're being remade, stronger, colder, wiser, more focused. She didn't just lose the man she left. She's about to lose access to the man she never even met, the one she no longer deserves. So stop checking her page, stop watching her stories, stop imagining conversations that won't happen. From this moment forward, she no longer exists. Not in your world, not in your mind. She is the past, and you are the future. If you're done bleeding for someone who never brought you peace, if you're done waiting for closure that'll never come, hit that like button. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I release what I cannot control. Now let's begin. Number 1. Silence is the first power move. You want her to regret losing you. Then stop talking, stop texting, stop explaining, go dark. Nothing confuses the modern mind more than a man who refuses to beg, refuses to argue, and refuses to break down publicly. Most men stumble after rejection because they think silence is weakness. Nope. Silence is the kill switch to emotional chaos. She expects noise. She expects a reaction. Tears, calls, angry messages, passive-aggressive stories. That's what most men do. But you're not most men. You're not interested in performing heartbreak. You're not about to hand over the last bit of your dignity just to make her understand your pain. Because here's the hard truth. She already knows she hurt you. She just didn't care enough to stop. Silence flips the script. It removes her from the spotlight and puts you in control. And that control, it starts with not giving her what she expects. When she goes to check if you're still orbiting her world, she finds nothing. No likes, no story views, no breadcrumb trails, just absence. That kind of silence. It creates a void, a psychological tension. It forces her to sit with the weight of her own choices, without your emotional labor to cushion it. But silence isn't just about her, it's about your healing. Every time you resist the urge to reach out, you build emotional muscle. You teach yourself that peace is better than closure, that not everything needs to be said, and that walking away without chaos is a form of power most people will never master. This is the first lesson in Stoic detachment. You don't owe anyone your suffering. You want to be unshakable? Learn to embrace the discomfort of silence. Learn to watch your emotions without acting on them. Let the world wonder where you went. Let her wonder why you stopped caring. You're not gone. You're just done explaining. Number 2. Pain is the greatest teacher. You're hurting. Good. That means you're alive. That means the mask is off and the illusion is gone. Now the real work begins. Because this pain you're feeling, it's not your enemy, it's your instructor. Every ounce of agony is showing you where you were too soft, too available, too willing to negotiate your worth. It's not here to break you, it's here to wake you. Most men numb the pain. They run to distractions, sex, alcohol, dopamine, fake confidence, but a stoic man sits in it. He doesn't flinch, he watches it like a fire, because when you stop running, when you look pain dead in the eyes, you start to understand what it's trying to teach you. You placed your peace in the hands of someone unstable. That heartbreak, that rejection, it's a mirror. And the man you see in that mirror right now isn't the final version. He's the raw material. He's the wounded soldier staring at the battlefield, not yet realizing that this isn't the end. It's the forge. You were too soft, too emotionally exposed, too easy to access. Pain just exposed the gaps in your armor. That's not failure. That's feedback. So don't suppress it. Don't distract yourself. Learn from it. Let the sting remind you what happens when you give your power to someone who hasn't earned it. Let the disappointment sharpen you, because once you've been betrayed, once you've been humiliated, once you've felt that void, you either collapse or evolve. And if you're listening to this, you've already made your choice. You don't escape pain, you use it, you channel it, you take everything she didn't see in you and turn it into something undeniable. This is where the weak man dies and the stoic begins to rise. Number 3, kill the old you without mercy. The version of you that loved her unconditionally, the man who waited by his phone, who tolerated disrespect, who kept hoping she'd change, that man has to die. Not slowly, not with poetry, brutally. If you want transformation, you can't carry the old identity into the next chapter. You don't evolve by upgrading habits. You evolve by erasing weakness. That heartbreak didn't just expose her, it exposed you. Every insecurity, every anxious attachment, every time you gave when she withdrew, every time you stayed silent just to keep her around. That wasn't love, that was self-abandonment. And now, that version of you has served its purpose. He showed you what not to be, he taught you what never to allow again. You don't fix that man, you bury him. This is what most men won't do. They try to hold on to pieces of who they were, to stay nice, understanding, available. Nope, not anymore. That man was programmable, predictable, software. You want stoic power? Then you need emotional discipline, boundaries made of steel, and a mindset that sees rejection not as loss, but as liberation. You don't rise until you kill the part of you that needed her validation, until you rip out the approval-seeking tendencies that made you easy to control, until you realize you were never broken. You were just trained to tolerate less than you deserve. This isn't a rebrand, it's a funeral. The man you were is gone. The man you're becoming doesn't flinch, doesn't explain, doesn't chase. He commands respect by who he is, not by who he tries to please. Number 4, build in the shadows. Now that the old you is gone, it's time to rebuild, but not in public, not for show. You don't post gym selfies hoping she sees them. You don't flash your progress to prove a point. You build quietly, ruthlessly, alone, because true power doesn't announce itself. It arrives without warning. This is your monk phase, your savage chapter, the grind no one claps for, and that's the beauty of it. You're not doing this for likes. You're not doing it to get her back. You're doing it because it's what a man does when he's finally done seeking permission to be great. This isn't a glow-up. It's a resurrection. It's becoming the version of you that was buried under comfort, neediness, and emotional dependence. Discipline becomes your new language. Training becomes therapy. Books become weapons. Solitude becomes sacred. Every hour spent alone is a hammer hitting the mold of the man you're forging. While she's out seeking attention, validation, or temporary affection, you're turning your pain into precision. You don't post your moves. You let your silence breed curiosity. You don't update her. You become untraceable. You make your presence unknown and your progress undeniable, because the Stoic doesn't need witnesses. He just needs results. She left you thinking you'd fall apart. But your silence is where the transformation begins. It's not about her noticing. It's about becoming so far removed from who you were that even if she saw you again, she wouldn't recognize you. Number 5, turn cold to what burned you. Stop feeling bad for going numb. You needed that fire to stop. You needed distance from the source of your pain. Now it's time to harden, not into bitterness, but into clarity. You don't need to hate her. You just need to become untouchable by her. Emotional detachment isn't cruelty. It's self-preservation. When you keep the door cracked open, even just mentally, she still has power. Every thought about what she's doing, who she's with, what she's thinking, it's fuel you're handing over for free. That ends now. You don't owe her your warmth. She walked out. Let her stay in the cold. You turn cold by accepting reality, not the fantasy version of who she was when it was good, but the real version, the one who walked away, who disrespected your love, who didn't see your value. That woman doesn't get to live in your mind rent-free. She doesn't get to control your emotions from a distance. The new you doesn't break when someone leaves. He adjusts, he sharpens, he builds walls where there were once doors. Indifference is power, not spite, not resentment, just neutrality. She texts, you don't answer. She likes your post, you don't flinch. She comes back, you don't react. Because you've seen this game before, and now you're playing on a different level. Emotionally, you go cold, not because you don't feel, but because you finally understand who deserves access to your heart. And she doesn't anymore. Number 6, become the man you lied about being. Let's be honest. When you were with her, you sold a version of yourself that didn't fully exist. You promised strength while still needing approval. You acted confident while secretly afraid of losing her. You spoke like a leader, but lived like a follower in your own relationship. That's over. Now it's time to become that man for real. Not the polished, perfect Instagram version, the real one, disciplined, focused, grounded. A man who moves with intent, who leads with principle, who doesn't flinch when people leave. You stop faking greatness and start becoming undeniable. You stop pretending you're doing fine and start putting in the work every damn day to be a man who doesn't need to say a word to earn respect. This isn't about becoming high value to impress her or anyone else. It's about finally living up to your own standards. She saw the cracks because you were building a false image. Now, you build from within. No more talking about your goals. You become your goals. You don't chase women. You attract respect. You stop needing to be seen and start being felt. And the best part, you won't even care if she notices, because the man you're becoming doesn't need to be seen by her. He's already seen everything he needed to see, and that truth cut deep enough to change his entire trajectory. Number 7, replace reaction with strategy. She posts something that feels like a shot at you. You want to respond. You want to prove you don't care, even though you do. But reacting is what she expects. Emotional men react. Stoic men calculate. Every move you make now either builds your power or burns it. So ask yourself, does this action come from emotion or from purpose? When you react, you give her control. She presses a button and you move. That's not power. That's programming. But when you detach, when you observe without response, when you think long-term instead of chasing short-term satisfaction, you become unpredictable. And in the game of attraction, unpredictability is strength. The Stoic man isn't cold because he's heartless. He's composed because he's trained. He knows where his attention goes, his energy flows, and if you're still reacting to her, you're still owned by her. That stops now. You don't need to respond to her messages. You don't need to defend yourself. Let her spin narratives. Let her play games. You're not in that arena anymore. From now on, every move is made with intent. You post when you want, not to provoke. You level up in silence, not to flex. You build a life that's so disciplined, so mission-driven, that distractions don't even register. She's not your goal. She's a memory. Your purpose is bigger. Strategy over emotion, purpose over pride, vision over validation. Number 8, let her wonder, not know. Disappearing without explanation is a language only the emotionally undisciplined fear. You don't owe her closure. You don't owe her updates. You owe her nothing, especially not access to your evolution. Let her wonder where you went. Let her spiral in silence. Let her try to read between lines that no longer exist. You see, the moment you start explaining yourself, you surrender your mystery. And mystery is magnetic. When she doesn't know where you are, who you're with, what you're thinking, that's when curiosity creeps in. And curiosity leads to obsession. But if you keep posting indirect quotes, if you send just checking in texts, if you leave the door cracked for closure, you kill the very effect you want to create. The most haunting thing you can do is go dark and stay there. No shade, no pettiness, just gone. Because silence with peace is more unsettling than words with pain. She expected a breakdown. Instead, she gets a blackout. You're not trying to prove you've moved on. You're just gone, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Let her wonder if you hate her. Let her wonder if you've changed. Let her wonder if you found someone better. But never give her the answers. You didn't get closure. Why should she? The new you moves in silence. The new you doesn't seek to be understood. You're not creating mystery. You've become it. Number 9. Her regret is not your trophy. She'll miss you eventually. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. But one day she'll sit with the weight of what she gave up. She'll scroll through old photos, hear your voice in songs, see your discipline, your detachment, your rise, and she'll regret it. That's guaranteed. But here's what separates the weak man from the stoic. You don't care anymore. Her regret is not your trophy. It's not your finish line. It's not the validation you need to feel whole. If you're still chasing her remorse, you're still making her opinion the center of your world. That's not power. That's prison. You didn't do all this, withdrawal, transformation, rebirth, just to circle back and seek approval from the same person who broke you. Let her regret. Let her reach out. Let her talk to friends about how much you've changed. You're not here to rub it in. You're not here to prove a point. You're beyond all that. Why? Because when you rebuild yourself properly, you realize you were always the prize. She didn't see it. That's her loss, not your lesson anymore. You don't need her guilt. You don't need her apology. You don't even need her to acknowledge what she did. Your silence did more than words ever could. Her regret is not your redemption. Your self-respect is. And when you no longer care if she sees you winning, that's when you've truly won. Number 10, the Stoic Reappearance. You don't come back to prove a point. You don't return for applause. You reappear because you've outgrown the ashes of who you used to be. The Stoic return isn't loud. It isn't dramatic. It's clean, composed, and powerful. No announcement, no revenge, just presence, different energy, unshakable eyes. A man who doesn't speak with words. He speaks with his aura. You walk into rooms you used to feel small in, and now you dominate them without trying. You meet people who once doubted you, and you greet them like they never mattered. And if she happens to see you again, she sees a ghost, not because you're dead, but because the man she knew no longer exists. This reappearance isn't for her, it's for you. It's the final phase of the evolution, integration. You've learned from the pain, you've trained in silence, you've rebuilt what was destroyed. Now you live, fully, quietly, sharply. You carry yourself differently, not with ego, but with knowing. You don't seek to impress her. You don't care if she sees, because you see yourself now, and that's everything. You didn't come back for closure. You came back to continue the mission, a mission that has nothing to do with her anymore. You're not the man she left. You're the man she'll never have access to again. If you've ever stared at your reflection and hated the weakness in your own eyes, if you've ever laid awake wondering why you weren't enough for someone who swore they cared, if you've ever begged for closure, replayed old messages, held on to hope like a man drowning in his own need, understand this: that version of you had to die, and he just did. Because now you're done. Done chasing people who never knew your worth. Done suffering in silence while she moves on without a second thought. Done explaining your value to someone who never earned the right to hear it. This is your moment. This is your turn inward. You withdraw, not to run, but to rise. You transform, not for revenge, but for resurrection. And when you reappear, you won't be loud, you won't be angry, you'll be calm, focused, elevated, unreachable. She won't recognize the man standing in front of her, because the man she left behind no longer exists. She lost access to a version of you she thought would never walk away. And what she'll see now is the consequence of that decision. Not a punishment, just reality. You don't need closure, you don't need her back, you don't need to be seen, because when a man truly rebuilds, his energy speaks louder than his words ever could. So if you're done begging, if you're done bleeding for someone who couldn't hold your heart with care, if you're ready to become the man you were born to be, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I rise in silence, I return with power. This isn't the end of your story. This is the origin. And your silence just became your greatest weapon.